Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Best of Pedalshift. On this edition, we go all the way back to January 16th, 2020 for the very first Pedalshift Bicycle Touring Draft with Mysterious James. This one was a lot of fun. It sparked a whole bunch of bicycle touring drafts to follow, but this was the OG, and it was also part of a larger three-parter because it was the month of Mysterious James. All pre-COVID, all in the halcyon pre-COVID days. A little bit of a fun one this time. Hope you enjoy. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us. This is the very first Pedalshift Draft, the Pedalshift Bike Touring Draft. I am joined by friend of the show, yours and mine, Mysterious James. Mysterious James, thank you for joining for the second podcast here in January.
My pleasure.
This is exciting. This is the month of Mysterious James, and we are excited for this episode to be doing the first ever Pedalshift Bike Touring Draft. What is a draft, you might ask? So if you're into the sports ball, you know, if you play fantasy sports, I don't, but you know what happens is that people draft players, and they do that, and points accrue, and blah 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 blah. So in the concept of the bike touring draft, here's how it's going to work. James and I are going to have 9 rounds. We've determined that there are 9 rounds, utterly at random, quite frankly. We could have done 44, but we're going to do 9 rounds. And each of us has to pick, and it's an exclusive pick, a piece of gear for bicycle touring. So, for instance, the example that he and I have used off of the mic is someone gets to pick a tent. And when that person picks a tent, the other person does not get to take a tent with them. So we're going to go back and forth. The beginning gear in round 0 that both of us have is a bike. And at the end of all of this, when we decide who ends up winning this, I guess we can determine what that bike might be, because it might be different based on the gear that we have. So both of us start off with a bike. We have 9 rounds to pick things like where we're going to sleep at night, what kind of gear we're taking. Is it going to be waterproof? What kind of clothes we're going to... The world is our enchilada. Will this work? We have no idea. James is a little reticent. James, are you reticent about this?
I'm always reticent.
He's always reticent. So anyways, we're going to... And because you're reticent, I, as the host of the show, give you the first pick of the Pedalshift Bicycle Touring Draft. What is your round 1 pick, James? By the way, folks, I have a Google. We're at my cabin. We've got a fire going. We're on Greyhound number 2. We have on my brand new 4K screen TV a Google Sheet being cast to my Chromecast with the draft board that will be screenshotted for you in the show notes. James, Mysterious James, with no last name, because that is the way you choose to be. Your round 1 pick, what is it? And it's going to be categorical. So, for instance, again, if you choose tent, if you would like a particular brand of tent, that's fine. But I will no longer get to choose a tent. And we're going to make these rules up largely as we go along. I think we'll see how this all goes. James, your first round pick.
I will, with my first round pick, choose a tent.
A tent.
Yes, and I will say that I am particularly partial to the tent that I currently use and have used for almost 10 years now. The Big Agnes Ultralight 3.
Ultralight 3.
Yeah, that's a tent that I use, and it's my tent of choice, and that is what I will draft with my first round pick.
With the first pick of the first round, Mysterious James chooses the Big Agnes Ultralight 310. James, tell me a little bit about the Ultralight 310. Why is that your first round?
Well, it's the Fly Creek Ultralight 3. I like a larger 3-person tent because it fits me and all of my gear inside. So my
James is a giraffe, as we have talked about. He is a large man.
I'm tall,
lanky.
And
a neck that's approximately 14 feet long.
So I take up like 1/2 of this tent, and then on the other half of the interior of the tent, I can line up all of my panniers and gear. So I like having everything inside my tent.
My recollection, James, is that your tent got destroyed somewhere in Santa Barbara once.
Yes.
And did Big Agnes take care of you on that, or did you just buy a new one?
No, they did. I was camping. Oh man, it may have been
5 years ago, maybe?
Yeah.
It was Carpinteria.
No, it wasn't Carpinteria. It was oh man.
I thought it was Carpinteria, but regardless.
Yeah, we can put it in the show notes.
Yeah.
It was I was camping on a cliff overlooking the Pacific, and there was a horrendous windstorm, and my tent in fact collapsed. Like, it broke a pole, and I was pinned in all night. Like,
you were holding it up. You told me, I remember the story.
Yeah.
You were holding it up with your hands.
I was holding it for a while, but then, after an hour or so, I was ready to go to sleep. So I just so the whole tent was like pinned on top of me, just by the wind, because the pole collapsed. I know this is not a very good.
And despite that,
this is not a very good advertisement for the tent.
Yes,
it's an ultralight tent which do not fare well in very high winds. This tent also didn't fare very well when I was in Patagonia, but it's a three season tent that I just happen to use year round. But I really like the tent. So yes, I sent it back to Big Agnes for repair, and they very kindly sent me a brand new tent. So I like Big Agnes, and I like this Fly Creek Ultralight 3 in particular.
Fantastic. Big ups to Big Agnes, the number one pick of the 2020 Pedalshift Bicycle Touring Draft. With the number 2 pick in the first round, I will be taking Ortley panniers. Oh, you are bummed about that, because that means that you do not get to take panniers in your gear. Ortley panniers, I think, are we've discussed this. This is part of the uniform, as we often refer to it. That means that James, you're going to have to carry your gear in something other than panniers.
So I have backpack.
My back. I mean, who knows? We're going to be going in round 2 in a moment here.
Okay.
Let's see here. I gotta make sure that this thing. Our display is a little wonky here, folks. We're kind of doing this on the fly. There we go. Now we can see the rounds here. So again, the first round went as follows. James chose the Big Agnes Ultralight 3 tent, thereby not allowing me to take tents for my sleeping situation. I took Ortley panniers, waterproof and beautiful, and can carry lots of gear, meaning that James cannot take panniers as his gear carrying conveyance on his bicycle tour. We are moving on to round number 2. James, Mysterious James, MJ. Yeah. The first pick of the second round, you are taking.
I will take a Sawyer water filter.
Oh, interesting choice. That's a bit of a reach. I think the draft picks would take it. Sawyer ultralight filter. Tell us a little bit about that and why you took that.
Well, having access to clean drinking water is very important. Otherwise, you have to carry an obscene amount of water, which is very heavy.
Interesting.
So I like to be able to filter on the go.
Now, the interesting element of that choice is that I no longer will be able to carry some kind of a water filter. Right. So if I'm to drink water, it's going to have to be in a situation in a tour that does that limits my touring options. So interesting strategy there.
And I think this gives a nod to our preferred routes.
Yes, I think so.
Because I could not do without a water filter on my route, or on the routes that I tend to ride.
I think
I needed
our
to
stuff is shaping up here.
Yeah, yes. I needed to get this.
Yes. All right. Okay. So let's see. With the second choice of the second round, the number 4 overall pick. I'm going to have to think about this. Like, I don't have any shelter.
Hard.
I don't have any shelter.
We're on round 2, and it's already hard.
Yeah, it's going to get even more interesting. Like, now I could get more strategic. It's sort of like, well, now that I know what kind of touring you're doing, I could poach something that could be very.
Oh, you're playing chess over there.
Very impossible
I'm
for
playing
you.
checkers. You're playing chess.
Let's think about this. Well, I do have to say, shelter is an incredibly important thing.
Yeah.
So I think that, and I could go a couple of different directions on this. Like, what kind of tour do I want to go with? I think that I am going to go with I think that I would win this game if I chose hotel. but I think that I would like this to be a 9-round game. So I am going to choose the Hennessy hammock as my choice. The Hennessy hammock, not a style of conveyance that I tend to be in these days, but I have done hammock camping before, and I do like the fact that of course the Hennessy hammock would include a rain fly. It will give me some weather protection as well. However, it does limit me. I am no longer going to be doing urban style camping. The cross Florida trip is not happening with this setup.
Yeah, you need trees.
I'm going to need some trees here. So that's very interesting. So that was with the number 4 overall pick, the second pick of the second round, the Hennessy hammock. So both of us have some interesting situations right now. We both got shelter. We both have. I'm very curious. With the first pick of the third round, James, Mysterious James, what do you pick?
I picked GPS.
GPS. Oh,
yeah.
That's fascinating.
Yeah. Specifically, I use Maps.me is the app that I use on my phone.
Yep.
I also have a Garmin, a separate handheld device. But
what kind of GPS are we taking here? Because I think, are you going to take the Garmin?
I have a Garmin handheld as a backup, but I tend to use the GPS on my phone. So like using Maps.me.
So are you taking a phone then?
Oh. Well,
I feel like those are distinct enough devices.
Well, I mean, I chose GPS for the specific functionality of a GPS. Yes. So it seems dickish to claim the phone in general.
Interesting.
But what are the, I mean...
This is a strategic question for you, James. What device are we taking here?
Well, I'll take the phone.
God damn you.
I'm going to take the phone.
All right.
Yeah.
Now that's a problem for yours truly.
Checkmate.
Some form of... I know that your choice would be an Android phone.
Yep.
But that precludes me from bringing my iPhone, which, oh my gosh, I am suddenly in a bit of a pickle because I hadn't thought about that until when you said GPS. So now you have claimed the phone. By the way, of the two of us, you keep yours powered off the whole time you were gone, except when you actually need it. Yep. I rely extraordinarily heavily on my phone, so I'm going to be without a phone for the first time in any tour in my life. So, welcome to round 3, people. All right. So here I am with my Ortley panniers and Hennessy hammock, and I have no phone. So that strategically changes what I'm going to be doing now, I think, because I was going to take my iPhone as my third round pick. So, great. I'm waterproof and I have a shelter, but I am straight screwed when it comes to navs. So, all right. Well, I think that with my pick here, I'm going to have to start thinking about what kinds of things. I think it's just a different type of tour that I would be taking then. Connectivity is less important to me. So I'm going to have to start. I'm talking out loud because I'm a little thrown, James. You messed me up here. I think I am going to go with stove. With a stove.
Yeah. Good call.
And I think that the stove that I would end up taking would be my, I believe it's an E-Tech City. What was that? What I'm rocking with right now? It's a propane stove basically, or a butane propane stove, but it's a mini stove that I'm going to be bringing. So that is going to be my third round pick, which is interesting for you because now all of a sudden you're in the backcountry with no stove, sir.
Yeah, I am.
I think that
sticks and fire.
Both of us just screwed each other in the third round. That's just really interesting. Okay, so we're in the fourth round, folks. Just to sum things up here again, go to the show notes that I mentioned at the top of the show here. James has, in round 1, picked the Big Agnes Ultralight 310, which precludes me from a tent. He has the Sawyer Ultralight filter for water, and he has an Android phone screwing me out of my iPhone. I should have picked that in the first round. I now regret that. I have the Ortley panniers, the Hennessy hammock, and a butane stove, or a fuel canister stove. James, in the fourth round, with your first pick, with the let's see, what would that be? The 7th pick of the draft. What do you pick? You were skeptical about this format.
No,
now this has become real,
yeah,
hasn't it?
I don't know how.
Shit's gotten real.
Yeah. For my 4th round picks, I will choose a bike pump.
A bicycle pump. Oh, interesting. We've gotten into, which means I am.
Yes. Game on.
Oh no, I know what I'm taking next.
Oh.
You have immediately. I am taking.
I know what it is because I was going to choose that.
I am taking the most bulletproof of all tires. I'm taking the Schwalbe Marathon Plus tires.
Yeah.
Which means that you do not get to choose specific brands of tires, which means you are definitely getting flats and you are definitely going to need that pump.
Yes.
Schwalbe Marathon Plus tires. Holy moly. Wow. Interesting. The strategy gets,
I know.
gets really interesting all of a sudden. All right.
Yeah.
That was my, to sum up, that's the end of the 4th round. At the end of the 4th round, James has a tent, a water filter, an Android phone, and a bicycle pump. I have the Ortley panniers, the Hennessy hammock, a butane stove, and Schwalbe Marathon Plus tires. James is somehow carrying all of this gear in no way, shape, or form. No conveyance whatsoever. James, first pick of the 5th round, the 9th pick of the draft. What is your choice?
I would choose a multi-tool.
A multi-tool. Interesting choice. Yeah. Multi-tool. You know, it's funny. That was going to be a very late round pick for me because I rarely need to use a multi-tool. Very rarely.
I use mine all the time.
Interesting. I don't I don't do tours without a multi-tool. I'm just here to say, but like, it's an interesting. Well, that's going to be an interesting rule call in the draft here. I guess the idea here is, am I not allowed any tools whatsoever?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know the rules of this, but I know that this is how I put my bike together.
Yeah. Oh,
I travel. I mean,
guess what?
It's like,
I'm just gonna screw you right. Oh no, I don't know if your multi-tool would include these or not.
Tire levers.
Tire levers.
They have them.
Okay.
Yes.
Then Yep. Yeah, we have confirmed your multi-tool includes tire levers because I was about to make your bicycle pump useless. Yeah. All right. So let's see. We are in the 10th pick of the draft. We are in my pick of the 5th round. Let's see here. I don't know. I'm fairly comfortable at this point. Now we're starting to get into some interesting. Let's see. What kind of a tour am I going to be in right now? I think I'm going to be considering bringing a sleeping bag.
Oh man,
a sleeping bag.
Did not think about that.
No, you did not, sir.
Huh.
Well. And suddenly we're in a tent with no sleeping bag, or a sleeping bag as I typed it in, because I have had a couple of Greyhounds. Okay. Wow, that's an interesting, we're in an interesting spot here. We have 4 more picks left in our tour. And we both are up Schitt's Creek in some ways. But otherwise we are in, like, if I have any mechanicals, I believe I'm straight screwed. If you have mechanicals, you're fine. And as we all know,
I just got to find a place to sleep.
But however, you are so right now you're in your bare Big Agnes tent with nothing. Okay, so with the your first pick of the 6th round, what do you got?
Pick a sleeping pad.
A sleeping pad. What's your sleeping pad of choice, sir?
I have a Thermarest, the Neo Air.
Yes, good one.
Yeah. X-Therm, which is awesome.
X-Therm, as with many things in our choices, you tend to choose you choose very good brands. I tend to choose the REI version of said brand. I have whatever the REI version of that is, and I've been very happy with that for years. So I do not get to have a sleeping pad, but that's fine because guess where I am at? I'm in a hammock, and I don't necessarily need it.
Yes.
Interesting. Okay. Let's see. I am in a sleeping bag, in a hammock. I can cook things. I've got waterproofness because of my pannier, so I can carry things. I'm feeling pretty good, actually, about where I'm at right now. I don't feel like I've got, like with you sleeping on top of a sleeping pad in a cold-ass tent. Although maybe you're touring in summer, in which case, who
Hey, man,
knows?
I have 3 more choices. So.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We're gonna work this. Okay. I'm just trying to think. Now I'm thinking about like I'm kind of in luxury land right now. And what can I steal from you? I'm going to choose a cooking cooking pot.
Oh,
no,
man.
no. I'm taking
A cup. No, don't give me an idea.
I am taking no. Yes, I'm going to take a cook set. That really limits you, sir.
It does.
That
Be drinking.
you're in the backcountry.
Be drinking out of my hands.
James, I'm just going to remind you that
Hey, but I have clean water though. I have a water filter.
You're in the backcountry, presumably,
Yeah.
with no sleeping bag and nothing to cook with.
Yeah.
Folks, this is why the draft was probably one of the greatest ideas that I've come up with on this show. All right, so at the end of round 6, James is starving in the backcountry and freezing his ass off. With a Big Agnes Ultralight 3 tent, a Sawyer Ultralight filter, an Android phone, congratulations, you can text people how uncomfortable you are. A bicycle pump, a multi-tool, a Neo Air X Therm sleeping pad. I, however, am comfortable wherever I am at with my Ortlieb panniers, all waterproof. By the way, all his shit is wet. With a Hennessy hammock, a butane stove, a Schwalbe Marathon Plus tires because I don't have to worry about getting flats anymore. A sleeping bag and a cook set. James, I don't know what you're going to do in the next 3 rounds, but you better hurry with your first pick of the 7th round, James.
Well, Tim, for my 7th round pick, I'm going to pick food.
I don't think... No, judge's ruling. Judge's ruling. I think we're gonna need a judge's ruling on that. Okay, actually no. I'm gonna give you that. Food that you can carry in what?
My hands.
Okay, James is bringing groceries.
Groceries.
Okay. James wins
So
groceries.
that means you can't have you can't have food. What are you going to be cooking with your stove and your cook set if I've got checkmate on food?
This feels like the wrong. I don't know. It's the pedal shift.
It's gone sideways, folks.
Yeah, this has gone. Yeah, we're in round 7. Round 7 items rarely make the team, but right now James has gone checkmate on my. I don't know. That feels a little broad to me. Maybe we need to. Not to as a judge and player in the same time.
Fair enough.
I do feel like groceries might be a little broad. But I think that there's ways for you to handle the lack of cooking conveyances with a food item. So it begins with an N. I could make your pick for you, and it would make your draft.
If food is too broad, okay. Let me think about this for a second.
I think there are categories of food that I think we can. Yeah.
Rain gear.
Rain gear. Oh, that's a good one. Rain gear. So I have my gear is going to stay dry, but I am not going to necessarily. So, interesting. Oh, that's a good choice. No, I'm going to pick groceries. No. Okay. I am, however, going to screw you. MREs.
Oh man.
That was the thing. MREs. Yeah, I just destroyed you. You have nothing to eat now.
Yeah. Man.
Okay, that was my pick in the 7th round. That was a move specifically to screw James.
So that would be like Mountain House meals and
that would be anything that is a pre-prepared meal of substance.
Yeah.
So yes.
Okay.
Yes. Oh, now we're getting into interesting stuff because you got me all wet. By the way, I don't know what you're carrying any of this in right now. So you've got 2 rounds left to.
Okay, so just a point of clarification, because you have the Ortlieb panniers, do I need to specify how I'm going to to carry
I think
things?
that would qualify as any bag that attaches to the bike.
Okay.
Does that seem like a fair?
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll take bike packing bags.
Yeah, we'll go with that.
I mean, they're not panniers.
I'm not trying to ruin your tour. Other than my last choice, bike packing bags.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So frame bags and whatnot.
Yeah, frame bags.
All right.
Yeah, saddle bag, frame bag.
Fantastic. Okay. Now your tour is starting to look a little bit better.
Yeah.
Let's see. For me, this is the second pick of the 8th round. And then we'll, of course, because we only got one round left, we got to figure out, okay, what can we do to complete this, you know? I'm going to bring water bottles.
Oh, man. Oof. Yeah, so I have a water filter, but no way to carry the water.
At this point, you are not allowed a cook set. You have no water bottles. You're in the backcountry with your rain gear. But here. Okay, so let me just set the stage here. James, after 8 rounds, and we have one pick left, has a Big Agnes Ultralight 3/10, a Sawyer Ultralight filter with nothing to put it in apparently, an Android phone, a bicycle pump, a multi-tool, a Neo Air X Therm sleeping pad, rain gear, bike packing bags, frame bags, and whatnot. That is his through round 8. For me, I have Ortley panniers, a Hennessy hammock, a butane stove, Schwalbe Marathon Plus tires, sleeping bag, cook set, MREs, which are stupid to have together because MREs you can tend to make in their own thing, which is why I stole it from you, and water bottles. James, with your final pick of the Pedalshift 2020 Bicycle Touring Draft, what do you choose to complete what you are taking on your next bike tour? Fictional.
Yeah. Well, man, you have me blocked with. So I can't have a cooking set, and I can't have MREs.
No.
So that means that I just have to take basically prepared food, or. Yeah. Okay, and I can't.
I feel like MREs are very specific.
Water bottles.
I feel like MREs are very specific. I feel like that the food has a broader category in a sense. Also, by the way, this is just a 9-round draft. We're not limited to these items.
Yeah.
But
there's gonna be a lot of
like, what am
Subway sandwiches for me.
Oh, interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, and water bottles.
That was a tough one.
Like that's carrying. So you prevented me from any water carrying capacity.
I can think of other ways to carry water.
Oh, okay. So this is specific to.
James, we're making these rules up as we go along.
Yeah.
Your final pick, the 9th round pick, the 17th pick of the Pedalshift 2020.
So I have a way to. I have shelter.
You do.
With my Big Agnes Fly Creek.
You were sleeping on top of your sleeping pad with nothing on top of it.
And I have a sleeping pad.
Yes.
And I have a water filter, so I have clean water.
Yes.
I don't have water bottles because you prevented that with your choice of water bottles.
I did.
I have a sleeping pad.
You can talk to people about your miserable bike tour.
Yeah.
And your Android phone.
Call everybody, tell everybody how unhappy I am.
In the backcountry with no
It's
signal.
all Tim's fault.
Because I prevented you.
Yeah. Okay, I'm thinking that I need some sort of food.
I think food would be an important thing for you, yes.
But I can't cook it, and I can't have okay.
The 17th pick of the Pedalshift 2020 Bicycle Touring Draft. James, Mysterious James picks.
Pump.
There is a very obvious thing that you need.
Well, obvious to you.
It's a very obvious thing.
Uh-huh. What is obvious to you that is not obvious to me?
Well, you could pass and I could steal it from you, and then you would be straight screwed. Folks, take a look at the show notes to realize what kind of a pickle James is in right now. If you picked this, I think that you have a complete set. Well, no, actually, I take that back. I think with your 8th round pick, you could fit your stuff in bike packing bags.
Yeah.
Okay, I take that back. I mean, I was thinking a backpack, but actually, I do think that you have enough. This is not your bike packing setup. I take that back, folks. Yeah. James is not in the pickle that I thought he was in. So, luxury item.
Oh, luxury item, easy. I would take inflatable pillows.
Inflatable pillow.
Yeah. I have some Sea to Summit inflatable pillows, which are a godsend. So,
tell the listeners about your freakish need for pillows.
I am a princess sleeper.
I love that you said that.
In that it needs to be perfect in order for me to sleep well. And I have 2 inflatable pillows, which make all the difference between a good night's sleep and a poor night's sleep.
You know what's really interesting is, as we have done this draft, I would have taken the tent in as my number 1 pick as well. But I'm realizing how many things you need in a draft scenario when you take a tent. So you had to take not only the tent, but you had to take the pillow.
Yeah.
Also, you had to take the sleeping pad. I just had the Hennessy hammock, and I was largely all good with all of this kind of stuff. For me, I am going to take as my final pick merino wool clothes. Merino wool.
Wow. Yeah. Okay.
Which really is that's a sleeper pick right there.
It is, because that prevents me from basically wearing all the clothes I already own.
Which means that Mysterious James will be the naked guy.
I'm naked guy on the bike.
Okay. By the way, so here we go. Let's do the recap here, because I think this is going to be really interesting, because now we're going to have to prove to each other who wins, who has the better tour, because with this gear and our bike, we're going to be able to tell each other which bike we chose, what tour we're going on, and how much more awesome it's going to be than the other person. And we're going to determine who wins this. Also, I think I've decided here on the fly that we're going to make this a listener a vote as well. So you're going to go to the show notes, and I'm going to have a place for you to vote. Who wins this? The voting is going to go through the end of January. So the end of January, please go vote at pedalshift.net. Who wins the 2020 Pedalshift Bicycle Touring Draft? Mysterious James or Tim? Round number 1. Again, go to the show notes to see this. The 9 rounds. James has a Big Agnes Ultralight 3 tent, a Sawyer Ultralight filter, the Android phone, to tell everybody about how miserable of a time he's going to have, the bicycle pump, the multi-tool, the Neotherm X-Therm sleeping pad, rain gear, very broad but good. I'll take my number 9 pick there. Bike packing bags, C2 Summit inflatable pillow. I have Ortlieb panniers, a Hennessy hammock, a butane stove, Schwalbe Marathon Plus tires, sleeping bag, a cook set, MREs, water bottles, and merino wool clothes. I think that was the clincher. I think I won it in the 9th round right there. But listeners will be the judge. Go vote at pedalshift.net. James, here at the first annual 2020 Pedalshift will be annual next year, bicycle touring draft. Give me your pitch for the type of tour you are taking with your gear and why you think that this is a superior tour to mine.
Well, I was thinking of the Great Divide mountain bike route, and the bike that I had in mind was the bike that I rode this summer, the Surly ECR. And what I chose were all things that I used on my tour this summer, and things that would have been kind of disastrous. Well, not disastrous, but
high-end necessary things, right?
Yeah, that these were things that were essential to my tour. The way that I conducted my tour, these were very important to me. From my tent to my water filter, because I was filtering, my water all summer. My Android phone, which I used not only the GPS to, follow, the route, because this was, a lot of it was in the middle of nowhere.
Sure.
With no established trail. And it was also my source of entertainment, listening to audiobooks and podcasts and music. The bicycle pump, which
How many flats did you
I
have?
actually had 0 flats this summer, but if I did have a flat, I had to have a pump to pump it up. My multi-tool, very important. That's how I, put my bike together.
Right.
Once I, got to the airport. My sleeping pad was very important for both comfort and for warmth, because it was cold on many nights. Rain gear. I didn't have that much rain. There were maybe like 2 or 3 days where I rode through the rain all day. I could have either, just rode through the rain without rain gear or not ridden that day, but
That's true. Could have done a 0. Yeah.
yeah, I could. It's nice to have rain gear, but
Always.
there are ways to deal with no rain gear.
I think that was the pick that you have that I most coveted, I would say. That was the biggest bummer to me was your rain gear pick. I mean, there were other the Android phone. The phone was probably the number one, but I would say second to that was the rain gear. Yeah.
And then the bikepacking bags. I need to have.
You needed to carry
Tim
stuff.
blocked me with Orly panniers.
Number one pick.
I've never toured without mine, so this would be a new experience.
Yes.
With having only bikepacking bags, but I mean, I could do it, but it would just be a different way of touring.
And then Princess needs the pillow.
Yeah, it's true. Like if Princess doesn't get her sleep, Princess isn't happy.
Boom.
So
See to some
I need
inflatable pillow.
I need my pillows.
I think that's a solid argument. However, this is why you lose.
Okay.
Because I am doing the classic, sir. The classic Gapco ride in the summer.
Okay. Yep.
And the reason why this is awesome is that so I've got I'm waterproof as I ride with my Ortley panniers. I'm comfortable as heck in my Hennessy hammock. If it rains at night, I'm fine because I've got my tarp that comes with the Hennessy hammock, so I'm protected and everything. I am able to cook my MREs with hot water that I create from my butane stove. I will not get any flats on the Gapco because of my Schwalbe Marathon Plus tires. I am going to be comfortable at night, even if it's a little bit on the cool side, with my sleeping bag. In my Hennessy hammock, I won't need a pad for that. The cook set is going to obviously allow me to boil water, unlike you, who I'm not sure what you're eating, sir. Water bottles, which I will be able to get on my Gapco ride. There are plenty of places where I can get water that is absolutely safe to drink, even though it's disgusting from those pumps on the C&O.
Tastes like iodine.
I'll suffer a bit through that. And you know what? If it rains on me a little bit, I'm fine because I'm wearing merino wool,
and it's the summer.
And it's the summer anyways. Sir, I would have to say, both of us have excellent looking tours considering we had 9 rounds here. Both of us have functional tours. But I would argue that I think that I win on this particular thing. But the listeners shall decide. Go to pedalshift.net and decide whether or not Mysterious James wins with his 9 rounds of picks, or I win with my 9 rounds of picks. James on the Great Divide tour that he has chosen, me on my, I didn't say which bike. I will be on my, of course, my classic Safari, REI Safari bike, hanging my Ortley panniers because I got to pick those in the first round. What a fascinating draft. What a fascinating choice. James, thank you for participating, and we will determine who is the winner of the 2020 Pedalshift inaugural bicycle touring draft. We're recording this, Jesus. All right, James and I are back because pull the microphone closer to you. All right, James and I are back because we're continuing the argument as to whether or not who wins what, and there's a couple of different ways to look at this. You, the gentle listener, the voter, to determine this. And my take on this is that if we were limited, first of all, there are no wrong choices. I think that we both chose greatly. However, if one were to have an unnecessary need to win such things and would make arguments for such things, I would say that from my perspective. Excuse me. I have, if we were limited to only the items that we have, which is a little unrealistic, granted, but like if all we had is you're allowed to take these 9 things with you on tour, I think that I have everything you need because I have the ability to carry water and to cook things. I am able to sleep in a comfortable thing with a sleeping bag and a comfortable suspension system on the Hennessy hammock, and I have food. Like, I think I have food, shelter, water clothing. I think I have everything. James is going to be naked inside his rain gear.
Oh.
Sleeping on top of his Neotherm or NeoAir Xtherm sleeping bag with nothing on top. I feel like that if with supplemental stuff, there's a strong argument for either side. But I would say if you're limited to only the 9 things there, I think I win. Now, James, you disagree.
I do.
Unreasonably, but go ahead. What are you eating? Are you hunting for your food?
Am I able to...
I'm just saying.
Am I able to carry prepared food in my bikepacking bags?
Well, in that scenario, yes, you can add on things, sure. But my working thing was if we were limited to these 9 things, you were starving and naked.
But that wasn't a condition of the game.
No, I'm just saying, like, for folks to think about from the voting perspective, like
that's not what it was.
I am lobbying the voters, sir. That's all I'm saying. No,
okay, so Tim, you get a flat tire on mile 2.
Right.
How does your tour go?
How many times have you gotten a flat tire on a Schwalbe Marathon Plus? Answer.
I've never ridden Schwalbe Marathon Plus.
Not true, sir.
Not the pluses.
I thought you had the pluses. Your OG tires on the...
Nope.
Do you have Supremes?
Supremes.
Interesting. Well, that's why you've...
So what happens if you get a flat?
Hasn't happened before. Why will it now? Oh!
So you wouldn't be able to... You would be pushing.
Well, first of all, I'm not going to be able to take the damn thing off anyways because I have no tool.
My point exactly.
But I will say, the reason why I chose those after you chose Bicycle Pump was sort of like it was an arbitrage scenario, I suppose.
Yep.
Pardon my cough, folks. But I don't believe I have ever gotten a flat, and maybe I've gotten one in one scenario. But over a decade of touring on those tires, I don't. Now I carry a multi-tool. I carry a pump. I carry patch kits. I carry extra tubes. But when I ride on those tires, I've never gotten a flat. I think, no, I will take that one back. On my Brompton, I once got a flat on the Brompton's Schwalbe Marathon Plus. However, on the bike that I would be pitching for this tour, I've never gotten a flat on the Schwalbe Marathon Pluses on my Safari. Could it happen? Absolutely. But I know you're going to be starving and naked in your scenario. Like,
how am I naked? I can wear my non-merino wool clothes and
no, it's just the 9 things.
Oh, only those 9.
Yes, it's unrealistic. That's why in that narrow point of view, I think I win.
But that wasn't the condition of the game.
Well, no,
you're moving the goalposts.
Well, let's expand it. So,
okay.
what would you be supplementing with your free agent draft picks? Here in addition, what would you be adding? And I think in this scenario, we would both be able to choose such things to supplement. What would you be? You'd be adding food.
Yeah. I mean, my assumption is that I would, because you chose both the cooking set and the MREs, that meant that I would be required to carry, food that didn't require cooking. So that means, like Subway sandwiches or,
jerky.
Yeah. Cliff Bars or things like that. And so
you can eat.
Yeah. So I assume that I have food. I just can't cook it.
The argument that I could give to you, not to help you, but as an argument that I should be winning because I'm going to tell you what you could. Now, you can't carry water bottles because I got them, but you could carry a
camelback, a platypus.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And you could fill that with your
I have a lot of I have
so
bladders.
Water bladder of some type. So there's your water, there's your food. You would have non-merino wool clothes. I don't think you have any, but so I think that you would. I mean, absolutely with your free agent draft picks, you would absolutely be able to have an enjoyable tour.
Yeah, I feel good about my choices actually.
Yeah, I have to be honest. I think with mine, I would be on the C&O. So I suppose I would bring a physical book with me.
Heavy.
God forbid. That's fine. I got an Orly pannier, so I can put whatever I want. I don't have those dinky little bike packing bags that you have, so I can throw whatever I need in there. But yeah, I'd bring like for entertainment purposes and stuff like that. I think I'd bring a physical camera. I'd find one somehow to take pictures and things like that. It would be the rare tour where I would be out of contact. For purposes of podcasts, I would bring an MP3 recorder that's not a phone. So I would be able to document it for the folks on the trip. So yeah, it would be a little old school in the sense that it would be an offline, non-connected tour, but actually, maybe that's something I should consider at some point. I probably would also bring things like a paracord and some other kind of handy stuff like that. I can't bring a multi-tool because you've got that, but I would bring a knife with me, which probably I would say doesn't count. A sheathed knife if we need to, or a what do you call them? The old Swiss Army knife. Oh, maybe that's too much of a multi-tool. We'll not count that. I'll bring a sheathed knife of some type, one of those outdoorsy, type of knives. Yeah, I have to say that both of us have very, very feasible, good bicycle touring stuff, but we're going to have to leave it to the listeners to decide.
I kind of think, reviewing, what we've chosen, I think that my choice of a phone
took away my comfort.
It's kind of a checkmate, because if you think of everything the phone facilitates, it's communication, it's navigation, it's entertainment.
It's a solid argument for me, especially because I'm actually kind of surprised that I didn't choose that as my first or second round pick, just in terms of my value for a tour. But I have to be honest. If I'm on the C&O and the Gap, this is a route that is very linear. I just keep going straight. I'm not in touch with people. I'm not recording my podcast, but this is a very fine, in fact, some would argue a superior tour, if I unplug completely. I don't need the navigation. If I'm going to just unplug, it's just like, hey, everybody, I'm going to be gone for a week. Kimberly, have a great week. Enjoy the dogs. Bye. See you in a week. I think that there's nothing necessary. There's a lot of comfort value in that. I will say the things I stole from you from a comfort perspective, the Merino wool clothes in round 9 was a really...
Yeah, that was a good one.
That was a tough one.
You got me there.
The water bottles, you had to go to your free agency to be able to get that. I really messed you up with the food situation, although I think at free agency you did all right because you got the your pre-prepared foods and things like that. But if you're going to be on a remote ride, my ride, I'm going through a town every single day, sometimes multiple towns. I really, in a sense, the cook set was probably unwarranted. Like if we flipped things.
Yeah, I would choose that because, a lot of times on my routes, they're, maybe 2-3 days between resupply points.
But you could carry enough bars and jerky to make it work.
Yeah, I can do it, but I do like being able to cook water or to boil water.
Absolutely.
To make a mountain house.
And I took hot food off of your plate completely by my draft. So in a sense, I had the I had the strategic sense, the defensive strategic sense. I took things that I frankly probably don't need for my tour just to make yours less comfortable. So I think that's kind of fun. Also, you have no sleeping bag. And I'm still not sure what you're doing.
I'll just wear I'll get some of those down pants to match with my down jacket.
Would you have done that on your Divide tour? Probably not.
No, sir.
No, sir. All right. Well, folks, I think that Pedalshift Draft 2020 was a grand success, and James is already committed to a 2021 draft. So once again, feel free to vote. Who wins? Mysterious James with his Tour Divide setup, or mine with my Gapco, my C&O Gap ride setup? Who wins the 2020 Pedalshift Draft? Please vote at pedalshift.net. James just brings up a really good point, and I think something that we're gonna. This is part of the draft. We get to. I don't know who gets to pick first, but James suggested if you could trade something for something. I don't know, James. Do you want to go first, or should I go first? Do you have something in mind? Because I do. I mean, I have an obvious one. I would. Here's the thing. You get to say I request something from you, and then you get to pick something from me.
Okay, go ahead.
well, so it's a little dangerous because who knows what? Because you could steal something that you perceive as very necessary. So I'm gonna. God.
Can I say no? Can I deny your request? Because I think I know what you're going to take, and I'm not willing to give it up.
I don't want an Android phone. You know me,
right?
But I think of all of those things. Well, let me think about that. Let me look at this. If you could deny it, it would be different. But I could so take your pillow, and that would just ruin you.
I wouldn't sleep for a month.
I think of all the things on your list. I think the phone is probably. Would it be the phone or the multi-tool? The multi-tool would give me the possibility if I have a non-tire inflation issue. I'm kind of torn because I don't think that I need the phone for a successful tour. But the rain gear is another possibility. You've got a few things I covet for sure, but I have to trade. You're going to take something from me if I do. All right, for giggles purposes, I would propose I would trade the Android phone. What would you take from me if I said I will take your Android phone? You get to pick one thing from my list.
Yeah, man, that's probably the one thing that would be least.
That's a critical piece of gear from you,
yeah,
and you don't get to replace it with anything similar. So that's
would I be able to replace it with?
Or you could say no. Maybe that's the one where you get to say no, and you don't get to take anything from my list.
I think with the phone, I would have to say no, just because it serves so many purposes.
Yeah, that's a pretty critical piece of gear in your list. Like if you took that away,
because it's my GPS, it's my entertainment, my communication, my navigation.
I'm taking it because it would be a luxury item. I'm taking away a critical piece of gear for you.
If I could replace it with like a handheld like a Garmin GPS,
which I don't have on my list. So yeah. Interesting. So yeah, you would say no then.
I think that would be the one thing that I would want to retain.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. I mean,
let me change them because I'm curious. Okay, if I requested your multi-tool, what would there be something you would take from me? I think there's a fairly obvious one then.
Probably cook set.
Cook set, but you have no way to heat anything up. I would have gone with the MRE.
Well, there are some cook sets that you can use. What do you mean?
See, I would have gone with the MREs, assuming that the MRE had a self-contained. Some of them have self-contained heating elements in them.
Okay, I would. All right.
Interesting. Okay, cool. All right. Your turn now. You get to choose an item from my list. Again, folks who are listening, please go to pedalshift.net to check these out. But Ortley panniers, Hennessy hammock, butane stove, Schwalbe Marathon Plus tires, sleeping bag cook set, MREs, water bottles, merino wool clothes. James gets an ability to take something, and I get to either say no or take something from him.
Maybe the cook set.
So if you took the cook set,
there are a lot that are kind of.
I mean, the cook set is interesting because you could build a fire, like you could cook over wood. Neither of us, by the way, have anything to make fire out of.
I have nothing to.
In our free agency,
with no cook set, I can't. I have no stove.
Yeah.
Okay. I was conflating a cook set with the stove.
Right.
Because.
Right.
Yeah, because like right now I don't have a stove or anything to put water in.
You have
or to
no
heat.
way to. I think it would take too many things for you.
Yeah.
You can't just take one thing in that triad to give you what you need. Although there is one thing in there that I think that you could make an argument, which we just talked about with the MRE. Yeah.
The self-heating MREs.
Yeah. In our fictional world here, where those MREs have the ability. What are you thinking?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, actually reviewing this again, like, I wouldn't give up my phone. So like, there's nothing that you.
Well, you know that if you requested something, I could take anything off of your list. That's the other interesting thing.
Given those parameters, I don't think that I would engage in that trade.
Because you know that I would take something that would be too important to you. So you choose nothing.
I choose nothing.
I think that's a good call because I would so take your damn phone.
Yeah.
And leave you stranded in the wilderness. All right, folks.
So I think that's a vote that I have chosen better.
Or that
because I wouldn't give anything up.
Or that you are far more vulnerable than...
No, that I chose well.
Or that I could take one thing and make your
can't.
house of cards fall apart.
But you can't because
Folks, I think that the winner is clear. Go vote at pedalshift.net and vote on who wins, Mysterious James or me with my far superior list that is far less apt to crumbling apart if your, say, phone drops in the water or breaks and leaves you stranded in the middle of the wilderness to die a slow and painful death. Thank you for joining. You can find Pedalshift at pedalshift.net for more great bicycle touring content. You can hear the Pedalshift project through Apple Podcasts or your favorite podcast app. Opening music courtesy of Jason Kent off his self-titled album. The track is called America. Check out his band Sunfield's latest release, Mono Mono, wherever cool music is available.